y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Nicole with the Bushel Designs. Today we are working on this super fun split stripe design. I measured the circumference of my tumbler, which I am using a 20-ounce straight tumbler from the Tumbler supply store. And in my Silhouette Studio software, I just created 6 boxes that were the exact same width, so that I tried to do it originally with painter's tape, but I just didn't have any that were quite wide enough, and it was just becoming a hot mess. So I figured this would be the easiest way to make sure that I got them straight and equal, and that way I could line up the very top rim of the box and know that my lines were straight. So I got that laid down, and then I numbered them so I didn't pull up the wrong one. And then we're going to use the orange removable vinyl that's on there as like a mark off so that we can just spray paint right over that. So I'm correcting or fixing these little lines on the bottom. I'm not worried so much about the circle in the middle because I'm going to put a sticker on there. So after that, I took it outside and I gave it a beach look spray paint. I have a bunch of glitters in my dump glitter collection. I do offer them on my website. I just took a lot of my glitters that I was no longer using like over a year ago, and I made these beautiful mixes. So I was trying to get this tumbler done in a timely manner because I've been a little behind lately. So I am using my UV resin to apply the glitter to these stripes because it was a beautiful sunny day. So I knew that it gives me a lot of working time and I can take it outside and it will be cured and ready to move on to the next step quickly. So I just pulled out some beauties, some dark blue, light blue, a tealy turquoise, a minty color, a white, and a gold. They are all chunky glitters, except for that minty one. It was more of a fine mix, but it went beautifully together. So I just, as my typical ombre, I started out really lightly and just built up that blend. Since most of these mixes are already a combination of a chunky and a lot of fine in there, I didn't need to find a color that matched in a fine cut. So on my second go around, I really focused on going in a lot heavier than that first pass, and they blended so nicely. I always feel like if the cuts are the same, like if they're the same equivalent of chunky and fine in there, they blend so nicely together. So I didn't really need to go crazy and go back and forth 100 times like I usually do. So after this, I was happy with my ombre blend, and I immediately pulled off those remaining removable vinyl stripes, and then I rolled it on some notebook paper just to help it lay down a little bit flatter. And then I took it outside and left it on my patio table for 10-15 minutes, and it was perfectly cured. And then I gave it a spray of Rust-Oleum's clear glossy spray paint, let that dry, and then I immediately went in and gave it a coat of epoxy. It is a little bit rough, but I am not so focused on that aspect yet. I wanted to just be able to move into this next portion. And the reason I went ahead and epoxied it was so that we could move on and not worry about any of that glitter shifting, and we could get a nice clean line for this next stripe. So I did the same thing. I taped off those beach stripes, and then I gave it a coat of this neon-y pinky orange and a yellow spray paint. And I am using this time this dump glitter from my collection, and then I am using a strawberry lemonade from SOC Glitters, and then I am also going in, I did find a fine cut for both of these this time, so I am going to be using Jupiter, which is like a yellowy goldish tone from SOC Glitters, and then LT4U from AB Designs Co. So I just went in real lightly and did my first coat of the chunky glitters, and then here I am going in kind of heavy-ish but light at the same time, if that makes sense, with the fine glitters, and I'm just helping blend up. These two glitters were more of an iridescent-y color, so that's why I wanted to add in the fine glitters to just give it a really good coverage. So I'm just blending in these fine colors, and then I'm going to go back in one more time with the chunky mixes to just help blend everything together. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I also did this coat of glitter with UV resin as well. So as soon as I was happy with these blends, I immediately removed that painter's tape as well. And then I rolled it on the notebook paper, took it outside, let it cure, and then gave it a coat of epoxy. So after that, I gave it a little bit of a sand so that, no, I take that back. I did not sand it because we are going in with this tropical sheet from AB Designs Co. and you don't want sanding under it. So I did not sand yet. I'm just going to use these green tropical leaves, and the little red dot on the back means that they are white backed. I order all of my clear sheets and clear decals from AB Designs Co. with white backing. It is my favorite because, as I always say, you can then use it on any color surface and they stand out and are so bright. So I just took all of these little tropical leaves and I am placing them just on the orangey yellow stripes, and anything that hangs over I'm just trimming off, and some I'm cutting in half to just kind of fit in the different spaces. But I'm just going to pick up a leaf and then randomly place it. So I'm just going to let you watch me place all these leaves on here. My original thought when I started this design was I was going to also then add black, like palm trees and stuff, to the beachy stripes, but once I started adding all these leaves, I knew I wanted to add some gold outlines. I was afraid that adding all the black images to the beach side would make it way too busy, so I was really loving the way the tropical stripes were looking against the plain beach look. So I decided to just leave the beach stripes as just the oceany beach stripe, and I absolutely love that. So after I was done adding all of the tropical leaves, I went ahead and went straight in with these leafy outlines. I just found this in my Silhouette Studio software, and I just cut a bunch of different leaves out, and I was going to do gold, but I didn't have a bright gold. So I did this textured, it was kind of more like a coppery gold. It's not quite copper, but it's not quite gold. I don't know what color it is exactly, but I thought it was really pretty with it. It didn't take away from these tropical leaves, and I was also worried that using a bright metallic shiny gold would take away from the leaves, and these I felt like really just enhanced the design and didn't take away or overpower these tropical leaves. So I just cut a bunch of random ones or whatever was in the little like design, and I then just cut these in half, added them in random places, and then they were solid leaves, so I just created an outline for them to create the outline look. And then I'm going to trim off any of the spaces that it is overhanging over the top or into the beachy section, and then I made a stripe for the lines in that same textured goldy copper color. It's funny, this tumbler is for my friend Stacy from Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy, and it all started when I made my Clover St. Patrick's Day tumbler. She wanted something similar and I had gotten a little bit behind, so we decided to switch it up. Instead of doing, we were going to do hers in a more springy look, but then we decided to switch it up and do this beachy tropical, and she gave me full reign for creative freedom, and I love the way this came out. It came out even better than I pictured in my mind, so thank you, Stacy, for that. After I added those stripe lines, I gave it a coat of epoxy, and then once that was done, we are going to move into the decal. I asked her what her favorite saying or beach quote was, and she said anything sun-kissed or high tides and good times, so I just combined the two and created this SVG myself. And I still wanted to bring in that palm tree look, so I just combined that in with the decal, and I wanted it to stand out but not take over any of the design, so I backed the wording in black as well, but it's a super thin offset. And then I am just using this beautiful color shifty pink and orangey, not pink and orange, well yeah, pink orangey yellow vinyl from Hobby Lobby, and I was just trying to figure out where to put it. I really wanted that palm tree to be on part of the beachy look since that was my original idea, and I just placed that down, and then it was lined up perfectly. I don't think I could have lined it up like that if I had actually tried, but it worked out perfectly. And then I gave it 2 final coats of epoxy, and this beauty was all done. As usual, I hope that I have inspired you in some way or another. I will leave all of the information where to find me and the products that I used down in the description box. There's some discount codes down there. There's also some links to some companies that I love but don't have discount codes for, that I would love for you to check out and support as well. And I will be back next week with another little mini series. I am doing some 4th of July cups, so I'm going to start that series on Wednesday, so make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you're always notified when I upload a new video. And if you are interested in purchasing any of my dump glitters, those will be also, I'll leave a link down in the description box. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, and I will be back to see you on Wednesday. Bye, y'all.